These are tonight's headline stories on the 10 o'clock news.
Former hostages are now free to speak their minds, and they are speaking them eloquently.
If you're looking for work, things just got tougher. 250,000 jobs disappeared last month.
And in the battle over cutting a deal to bring Northwest Airlines jobs to Minnesota, this TV ad finds itself virtually banned from the airwaves.
From WCCO Television, this is the 10 o'clock news.
Good evening, everyone. After all of the volumes of talk we have heard about the proposed deal between the state of Minnesota and Northwest Airlines, you may think you have heard all you need to know about it.
But Northwest thinks otherwise. The airline says it has to fight newspaper ads portraying its executives as wolves. So it created a television ad aimed at reaching the hearts and minds of the public by making a not-so-veiled threat. The catch is just about every TV station in town is refusing to run it. Alan Cox reports.
Tonight, the noisy debate over the Northwest deal got even louder with a quiet television commercial carried by one Twin Cities station, rejected by 3 others, including Channel 4. Here it is.
Northwest Airlines is going to build 2 new aircraft maintenance bases that will create 1,500 new jobs. These new jobs are in addition to the 18,000 jobs presently in Minnesota. New jobs, new facilities, and they're landing right here in Minnesota. But if state legislators decide we don't need 1,500 new jobs here in Minnesota, Northwest Airlines must take them someplace else. Consider the facts, then ask your legislator to vote yes for the Northwest Maintenance Base proposal.
KSTP television broadcast the commercial on an afternoon newscast. WCCO rejected it under a policy that says, in part, unacceptable advertising includes commercials that reflect an editorial position by the sponsor. Northwest complains that most stations ran this commercial last spring, opposing new taxes. Channel 4 management says that commercial apparently should not have run. The airline is producing more commercials, asking for a yes vote in the legislature, but a spokesman says the use of TV is not a sign Northwest is desperate to get state aid.
There's by no sense a desperation. The only sense of desperation we do have is to protect the integrity of our company and the reputations of our people, and we will be tenacious about defending that.
Senator Bill Luther, who is leaning toward a vote against the airline package, tonight criticized the commercials as a heavy-handed tactic. Representative Dee Long, who says she's undecided, says she doesn't blame the airline for doing what it can in the most passionate debate she's ever seen at the legislature. The final vote comes in 10 days. Alan Cox, WCCO Television News, Minneapolis.
Now, if stations avoid commercials on public issues, you may be wondering why you see so many campaign ads in an election year. The reason is federal law requires stations to sell ads on subjects where the general public must cast a vote.
Another headline story tonight is the one about the nation's vanishing jobs. Government reported today American businesses eliminated almost 250,000 jobs during the month of November alone. Construction, manufacturing, and retail sales were the biggest losers. President Bush tried to make the best of things, pointing out that November's unemployment rate did not shoot up.
And I'm glad because I think many were predicting raise 7 or something like that. So please don't go into these little details. Let's look at the big picture, which I'm trying to do.
Problem is, the unemployment rate only measures people who are still looking for work, and most economists say thousands of people just stopped trying. Trying to repair some of the economic damage, the Federal Reserve today moved quickly to lower the cost of borrowing money for businesses, hoping that that will spur some of those businesses to keep Americans at work.
An Aiken County judge has awarded $100,000 to a female state employee subjected to sexual harassment on the job. Carla Gilson, hired 14 years ago as a typist in the Hill City, Minnesota Division of Forestry, sued the DNR and 3 male superiors, alleging improper sexual advances on business trips and reprisals for complaining about the harassment. A spokeswoman for the DNR says tonight that 1 male supervisor has been disciplined but would not elaborate.
Driving on highways and interstates in the Twin Cities has become a dangerous business of late. Police say drivers or passengers are taking out their frustrations on other motorists by firing guns at them on the road. The latest victim, a 23-year-old, recovering tonight after he was shot last night on I-94. Brad Good has the story.
Kind of wish I could have got a license plate. Couldn't get much. I mean, it happened like...
Doctors say Edward Wakefield should just be thankful he's alive after he was shot by someone in another car while he was driving last night along this stretch of I-94. This is what it did to his car.
My back felt kind of wet, so I put my hand back underneath my jacket. Pulled my hand out and it was covered with blood.
Wakefield isn't alone. He's the third motorist in just 6 weeks to be shot at on the roads. Police say another motorist was shot at October 11th here on Highway 3, south of St. Paul. Another driver faced gunfire along 35E near Maryland on Thanksgiving. In all 3 cases, the victims say the suspects shot after flashing their lights and tailgating.
And who knows what is going on in a people's mind when they do this, but it seems to be kind of like a tie-up in traffic or that, you know, somebody kind of retaliating against somebody else.
Wakefield says you'd expect this kind of violence in L.A., but not around here. Police say that's evidence more motorists are carrying loaded guns in their vehicles, which is against state law. What's worse, those carrying are willing to use them. Brad Good, WCCO Television News, the Twin Cities.
In other news, an employee of Riverside Medical Center is hospitalized tonight after being shot in the hospital kitchen this morning where he works. Police say the man was allegedly shot by a female co-worker who fired the bullet into his back. The incident happened after the two allegedly were involved in a domestic dispute before they went to work this morning. Authorities say no one else was in the room at the time of the shooting and that the woman was arrested a few minutes after the incident. The victim is listed in good condition tonight. Colleen.
Senator Edward Kennedy was on the witness stand today in the rape trial of his nephew, William Kennedy Smith. Senator Kennedy testified he was in his room when the alleged attack happened.
Did you hear anything at all that night at the Kennedy estate?
No, I did not.
Did you hear any screams?
No, I did not.
Kennedy testified he and his nephew and his son Patrick decided to go to a bar after an evening of talking about family matters. If he had to do it over again, the senator says he wishes it had been a long walk on the beach instead.
Another headline story tonight can be summed up in one word: freedom. Former hostages Terry Anderson and Joseph Scipio are now utilizing their freedom to speak and to sing.
God bless America, my home sweet home.
Scipio was greeted by his hometown of Norristown, Pennsylvania, where he was presented with a birthday cake, even though his birthday was in September. At about the same time, Terry Anderson was telling the media about his freedom and his captivity.
He came in with his sister, a woman who fought for his freedom and who was at his side when he needed her.
Excuse me.
Don't do this.
I didn't expect this. I was all cool and calm and ready to go, and thinking about all the neat things I was going to say, and they all just kind of disappeared.
At the beginning, they were pretty rough. There was some physical abuse. Not terribly bad. It ended fairly quickly. Yes, after a while, they left me alone. They did not slap me around, and for the last 4 or 5 years, nobody offered physical punishment to me. I was not beaten.
Anderson said he's not looking for revenge. His captivity is something from which he's learned, and now it's over.
I'm a Christian and a Catholic, and I really believe that. And it's required of me that I forgive, no matter how hard that may be. And I'm determined to do that. And to do that also requires me not to personally worry about things like whether or not these people are going to be caught, captured, and punished. I'm not concerned with that.
Anderson also described his favorite day, the day he was released. He said, I quote, "I was peering out the windshield, looking at the stars. The first time, he says, I had seen stars in so long. They were beautiful," he said, and I was looking at them. Colleen.
Well, today our eyes were on the former hostages, but tomorrow the eyes of the world will be on Pearl Harbor and ceremonies remembering the attack that took so many lives there on December 7th, 1941. Everyone is familiar with the memorial to the USS Arizona at Pearl Harbor. Well, tonight we have a look at what's below the water. The ship is so thickly covered with coral, it is hard to pick out the word Arizona on its hull. But you can still pick out the galley, still littered with the remains of an interrupted breakfast from 50 years ago. And you can pick out the shapes of the Arizona's guns, standing silent guard over the tomb of 1,177 men. It's a silent resting place, but certainly not a forgotten one.
Now, here is a look at what is still ahead on tonight's 10 o'clock news. After a week of rough times with weather, the weekend is, in fact, looking better, and we'll have that good forecast coming up later. But next, we're going to find out why the 16-year-old girl is sealing herself up for the weekend in a cave.
And for those of you who missed it, Dave Moore's farewell to the 6 o'clock news, on camera and off.
This is the 10 o'clock news on Channel 4.
Jack and Mary are newlyweds. Mary is learning the joy of cooking. Jack is learning diplomacy.
Is everything all right, dear?
Yes, dear. It's a shame our newlyweds don't know about down-home dinners from Perkins. Wholesome dinners served in hearty portions, just like Mom used to make when you lived at home.
Honey, have you seen my earring?
Come in now for a free slice of pie with any down-home dinner purchase.
Can you describe the new Eagle Summit in one word?
An all-new, versatile, compact wagon with a removable rear seat and optional all-wheel drive.
I said one word.
It's hyphenated.
With the anti-lock brakes on this all-new Eagle Summit wagon, I can stop on a... What's the word I'm looking for?
How about a dime?
Okay, but first tell me the word.
Wrap your tree in Greatland Christmas lights from Target. 40 standard bulbs or 150 mini brights, only $9.99. And deck the halls with everyone's favorite Holidays M&M's candies. Plain peanut and almond, just $1.93.
It's a season with ginger and spice.
Wake up to the Good Morning Show on WCCO Radio.
A 16-year-old Wisconsin girl is reaching new depths in her quest to do for a science experiment. Marnie Polhamus wants to find out how isolation will affect her physically and psychologically. So she's spending 2 days alone inside a cave. Education reporter Daryl Savage has her story.
The drip of water, the sight of bats, the stillness of the air, and now the steps of a teenager. Marnie Polhamus is willing to do something most of us would never do, spend 48 hours in virtual isolation, 67 feet underground. For the next 2 days, Crystal Cave is her home.
I'm a little bit nervous and I'm scared, and I'm excited too. Interested to see the results.
The results of how she will react to no clock, no sunlight, and very little conversation. She is being watched. A group of her classmates and her science advisor are in a building above her, and thanks to a monitor, they're keeping an eye on her, making sure she checks her body temperature so she doesn't get too cold, occasionally asking her questions to see if she can keep track of time.
What time do you think it is now?
10:56 and 47 seconds.
This is an experiment by the Spring Valley High School Science Club and made possible by the owners of the cave. More evidence that school is not just inside classrooms.
It's nice for the community to realize that we're trying to do things different. The school is trying to change.
Marnie will spend much of her time doing schoolwork and writing down how she's feeling mentally. It's a feeling few people have felt before.
Staying in this cave alone is not only a first for a student, but it may be a first for anyone. The owner of Crystal Cave says he's not sure if anyone has spent the night down here in the 100 years since this cave was discovered.
Marnie admits that some people thought she was crazy when she told them she was going to do this. It's a good bet this is one lesson she'll never forget. Daryl Savage, WCCO Television News, Spring Valley, Wisconsin.
Daryl says if things go according to plan, Marnie will leave the cave sometime on Sunday. Now we'd like to take just a moment of your time, of your news time, to talk about some news family business.
The patriarch of our news family here at WCCO-TV today anchored his last 6 o'clock newscast. After 34 years of anchoring a regular newscast at WCCO, here's how Dave Moore said goodbye to his viewers.
When I started reading the 6 o'clock news here on Channel 4, our youngest child, Paul, was just 4. Look at him now in the control room. He is the producer, editor, writer of this newscast. What do you say, Paul? Okay, kid, fade to black and go to your room.
And here's what Dave had to say to his colleagues.
Good about it. What really made me feel good was you people being here.
Dave will be back on the air with a Sunday morning show in January. But Dave, we are going to miss you Monday through Friday.
Let's do it.
What do you think of Carson's 12-hour sale?
It's like a beacon in a storm. Exactly.
Carson's 12-hour sale.
It's like a pizza with the works.
Incredible savings in every department.
A light at the end of the tunnel, yes. A light all bright and shining.
Carson's 12-hour sale. Only 12 hours.
And it's over like that. It's history.
When the light goes out, poof, gone.
Gone.
Carson's 12-hour sale starts 8 a.m. Saturday.
Poof, gone.
There's a business where goals aren't measured by quarters, but by generations. A business where the board meets under open sky. For this business, DuPont created Accent, a low-use rate herbicide that protects corn from foxtail and wild proso millet and protects the land as well. Because in this business, the accent is on tomorrow.
Holiday gift giving, wonderful as it is, can sometimes be a challenge. You have many relatives, many friends, and many others. Each deserves their own unique gift. At Brookdale, perfect gifts are easy to find, and they have more gifts to choose from. Gifts for grandma, kids, or spouse. Something for everyone. The more, the merrier.
Brookdale, where perfect gifts are easy to find so you can be merry.
Inside Edition is so real you can feel it.
Bill O'Reilly, experienced network anchor.
We go in, we get the story, we get the truth. That's why we're here.
Bill O'Reilly, investigative reporter.
We want to put you in the eye of the storm, inside the story. You want investigative reporting? Look inside. You want stories from the heart? Look inside. You want stories about real people doing extraordinary things? Look inside.
Bill O'Reilly, Inside Edition.
Weeknights at 10:35 on Channel 4.
Good evening. Mike Fairborn has the night off, and a nice night to have off. Temperatures outside melting some snow, and tomorrow morning, by the time you get up, or if you decide to sleep in anyway, we'll still be melting the snow. It'll be foggy, and it'll be very mild. Temperatures will be much warmer than normal. And today, we warmed up 40 degrees outside. We started off this morning with a low temperature that was below zero, 3 below. It warmed up to 37. The normal high for this date is 30, so we're doing pretty well as far as that goes. No precipitation here in the Twin Cities, and currently outside we're at partly cloudy, 36 degrees right now. The wind is southwest 12 and the barometer is falling, reads 29.54. Temperatures still winter-like up in northern Minnesota. They're only at 12 degrees at Hibbing, International Falls, also up in Warroad, but so mild down to the southwest. 40 in Redwood Falls right now, with 30s and some low 40s back in the Dakotas as well. They had some new snow up in northern Minnesota today, and satellite pictures over the past 24 hours show that storm system as it made its way through the Dakotas, across Minnesota, dropping anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of new snow across northeastern Minnesota and all the way back the Minnesota-Canada border to Warroad. Those clouds now have moved into upper Michigan. There's a little band of clouds across southern Minnesota, and this is what we have overhead outside right now. Still, if you have any plans this weekend to get out there and do any cross-country skiing or snowmobiling, plenty of snow, at least 6 inches of snow across all of Minnesota and all of Wisconsin, even though some of that snow is currently melting. Over this past week, area ski resorts have received as much as a foot to a little more than 1.5 feet of new snow. 16 inches at AFTON ALPS, 16 inches at Trollhagen. Great winter activities this weekend, although, as I mentioned, some of that snow is melting. Right now, the 32-degree line, the melting point stretching across the southern half of the state, so most of southern Minnesota is starting to melt a little bit of that snow. The reason it's so warm, it's a warm front That warm front has been making its way from out of the southwest. We're now in the warm section of this whole storm, and as it kind of gradually moves toward the east-southeast, our winds tonight should remain pretty much out of the southwest. And we'll have partly cloudy skies through the night tonight, and temperatures are so warm in terms of the dew points. A lot of moisture out there, so we'll see some ground fog tomorrow. Once that fog burns off, we should see some sunshine. Skies will be partly sunny. We should see some low 40s here in the Twin Cities. The forecast for the Twin Cities, then some high clouds tonight. We'll see some fog developing late, 30 for a low and a southwest wind at 5 to 15. Then for tomorrow, morning fog, otherwise partly sunny, mild, 43, a lot more melting tomorrow. Winds becoming southerly at 5 to 10. And then tomorrow night, mostly cloudy. There's a chance of a rain or snow shower late.